Ciao everybody, my name is Joey. Welcome to my channel. I was so inspired by a recent Potomac Beads kit edition box where they have a beading pattern and then you purchase that. It's a monthly subscription, but they also did a video, and so this, if you saw that or if you get that kit, the beginning of my project might look familiar, but of course if you know me at all, you know that I like to do my own thing, and so I have done a version of the pendant that was on the Potomac Beads YouTube channel and in their kit edition. And so what I did is adjusted this so that my beads here that are caging the core bead are how can I say, not tight up to the bead, so there's space in between, so it really looks like my 14mm check glass round is kind of floating inside a beaded cage. And I also made my own little heart head pin, and one of our sweet members of our community, she's so supportive of my work and my channel, her name's Peggy Bush, she sent me this wonderful gift. I don't know if that video is going to go up before this one, but I did share it, what she sent me. But in that, she sent me these amazing little filigree gold bells, and they even have the little tinkle part, but it doesn't make much of a noise, but it's just so detailed and just so absolutely gorgeous. So this is my first little pendant. I have a half gold, half crystal check glass faceted round inside here, and those are from Potomac Beads. I'll show you what these look like when they're not in a cage. Whoops. These were from one of our Potomac Beads treasure boxes, and I just absolutely love them. I love gold, I love crystal, I think it's so elegant. And I will also be using gem duos, and they have a plethora of colors on the Potomac Beads website for the gem duos as well, and of course seed beads galore. It's a very wonderful, very organized website, and I will put a link in the description box, because if you use my link, it doesn't change the prices or anything, but it tells them that you saw the products on my channel, and it helps out my channel. So it'd be really sweet of you to use my link. But I'm going to do something totally different. I have this bead from my stash, and I have absolutely no idea where this came from. It was in my white and crystal bin, and I pulled it out and said, okay, let me try making this my core bead. I also recently found this on the Jesse James Beads website. They have really started to have extremely unique findings. It's called Fab Finds. If you search that on their website, they have some of the most unique things. Aside from their famous boho beads, they have a lot of 18 karat gold plated findings now that look like fine jewelry. And this little butterfly already beaded with the loop at the top, he just totally spoke to me, and I didn't even know what I was going to do with him when I bought him, but now I do know. So my plan is to do a white and gold version of this pendant, with my caged bead being this white bead, and when I'm all finished, hang my butterfly from the bottom. And I will show you guys how I make these little heart head pins, because I'm thinking that would be really cute with a jump ring once this is beaded and caged, that this will just make an absolutely stunning design. So that's where I am going with my project. I am going to do this differently than what I have seen. I tend to do my own thing, but I loved this idea, so thank you to Potomac Beads for such a fabulous idea. And I would suggest that whatever head pin you're going to use, that you have it ready. I'll show you how to make one of these at the end, but I'm going to stack everything on here. Like, I'm going to start out with my bead on here and just let it hang out there. And in order to make this, you're basically creating two bead caps, so two separate items. So this top part is one, and then we have to do that exact same thing again for the bottom part of the design. So I have already started my top part, and you'll see everything from beginning to end because I have to do this all over again. And so I'll show you exactly what I did here with the gem duos. and I'll also tell you everything that you need to go into this, but I'm doing it this way first so that whatever bead you go and get for your core bead, you have an idea what you're looking at. So this bead cap, when it is on the top here, this little strand of beads here is going to go around this 4 millimeter bead. And so to figure out how much beading you need to do right here, it's a good idea to be able to look at your bead. Now my bead is in the middle of my bead is right here. So you can see that if I have another one of these coming up to here, there's going to be an awful lot of space in between there. If I want to connect the crystals the way that I connected them here. You can also fill in that space with seed beads or some other thing. So I think I'm going to do what I have here on my pattern, and that's how I'm deciding, is 4 seed beads, a 4 millimeter crystal bicone, and 4 seed beads. And when I make my other bead cap, I'll do the same thing. And if you want space the way that I have in here, where the beading is not laying right up against your core bead, then you want this to be longer so that it's not touching. If you want it to be really tight down to the bead, then you want to fit this pattern top and bottom so that it's really snug to the bead. So I'll show you what I mean as we get going. And you guys, I have to say, if this looks daunting to you, it is not. It is so easy, and I really hope you'll thread a needle and do this along with me, because the end result is not indicative of, you know, the difficulty level, I think is what I'm trying to say. It's not difficult. Honestly, I believe a beginner would be thrilled making this. It's super, super easy, and I really do consider this a beginner project. And it's not labor intensive, and it's not a long project. So with not too much time, without not using too many beads, not too much bead stringing thread, you have this fabulous result. And it's so adaptable to whatever, if you have large beads and you just don't know what to do with them, this is such a great way to do something wonderful with them. So let me pull in my little beading tray and show you what's going in. You will need 10, for sure, 10 gem duos. So I am using, let me show you, these are from, where are these from? I think these are Potomac beads. I have picked these up in a few, but this is a dark gold rainbow gem duo, and I have pulled out the gold because the rainbow color means there's a little bit of green and purple and turquoise, and I want this to be really gold, you know, really gold and neutral and crystal, really, really neutral, really elegant pendant. But I'll show you some of the ones that I have. These are from Potomac Beads. These are the gold gem duos, the pale, it's called bronze pale gold. So they have all of these on their website, and this is also from Potomac Beads. These are the jet bronze, so if you like a darker, richer color as we're going into fall, and so that's going to be kind of your main. As you can see, this is my hot pink one, so you kind of see when you choose that color where you're going. And then you'll need some 11-0 seed beads and some 15-0 seed beads, and then some kind of a crystal. It can be a bicone, it can be a rondelle, it can be 3 or 4 millimeter. I'm using 4 millimeter. I used a 3 millimeter rondelle on this one. I know it's a little difficult to see the gold crystal with the gold faceted core bead inside, but hopefully you can see what I did there. And so here on this center part, when you connect your top and bottom, this is totally adjustable and so much fun to design. So there is that. And oh, I forgot, one of the main things you will need is 10 4 millimeter rounds. So I have these little 4 millimeter check glass rounds that are in a creamy color with a brown Picasso wash on top. And so I'll show you what that is looking like right there. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to finish this bead cap, and I will come back and show you what this one side looks like finished, and then we'll start the second one together from beginning to end so you can see exactly what to do, because once you see what to do, you just have to do it twice, and that's all. So let me just finish this one really quickly. It will just be a second for you, and I'll come back and we will start the other one together. Okay, half of my bead cap is done, and I wanted to show you what I do to tie this off, because you can tie knots, you can weave your thread back through and trim it off, you can use your thread zap and burn it off, but on this particular project I have chosen to snip right where my thread, this is my tail thread, this is my working thread, and I have chosen to snip it and take a little tiny dot of GS Hypo Cement and just put it right there. This is the underside of my bead cap, so I can see my little tail thread right there. And the reason that I did that is because I enjoyed designing the cage part of this project, and I didn't want to fill up the holes of my gem duos and my 15-0 or 11-0 seed beads any more than necessary. So I am putting like the tiniest little bead of glue there, and I'm going to come over here as well. Let me get the little pin back in this, and I'll do the same thing right here, just right where I'm coming out. I'm just going to snip, and I'm going to just put a little tiny dab of glue. Like, I mean, it's like a dot. It's just to keep that from going anywhere. And that way I'm not running extra thread through the holes, you know, the holes, because I want to save that for when I bring them together and cage my bead. So this can sit and dry while we start on the other one together. So I'm going to use the same needle, the same thread, and the way I'm starting is with a 15-0 seed bead. Now I hope you guys will be able to see, because as I said, I wanted this to be really elegant, gold and cream and white and crystal. So I'm going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead, and I'm going to pick up a gem duo, and gem duos have a front and a back. So there's a flat back. I'm going to put my little tray down. This is the front with the little architecture kind of on the front, and when you flip it over you'll see the back is flat. So I'm going to pick up 5 of them, putting a 15-0 seed bead in between each one, but I want to pick it up in the same direction so that I have them all facing up. So that's 2, 3, 4, 15-0, and 5. The other thing you might want to do before you go any further is to take a needle or a head pin or anything that you that's too big. Let me get another needle. Just get another needle, and I'm just going to check and make sure before I do any more weaving that all the holes are clear. With 2 hole beads, that is horrible when you're weaving and you get to your second hole and there's a blockage and you just can't get through, or it didn't get drilled. So this one is good, and so that's what goes on the needle first. A 15-0 seed bead, the color doesn't matter, and then 5 gem duos, and you're going to end with a gem duo since we started with a 15-0. So let me put this away and I'll show you what we do. Okay, I'm going to bring all these beads down to the end of my length of thread, and I took about a wingspan of thread, and before I tie this I'll show you what I'm using. This is 10-pound Wildfire in the beige color. 6-pound would work for this as well, and I just chose a color. I love this beige. I've been using it for almost all my bead weaving projects because it really disappears, and there is one place on this where your thread runs down the side of your gem duo, and when it's finished you can't really see it. You know, I don't see where that happened on this piece. So I am just going to tie a square knot. So that is just an overhand knot in opposite directions. So there's the first one, and then I'm going to come back. Okay, I don't want this knot to get too big, but I am going to do it one more time. I'm right hand dominant, so I just flip my work to get that opposite direction knot in there. Okay, and then I am coming out right here. I'm going to go through my next gem duo, and when I pull, it's going to pull that knot kind of inside the gem duo. So can you see? If you can't see, that's perfect. That means the knot went inside. Okay, and now it is super simple. Now I just want to go through that next 15-0. I'm getting in position to get down to the second hole of my gem duo. So I just want to, that's the one spot where your thread is kind of hugging the outside of this 2-hole bead. And so if you match up your thread pretty well, like this beige just fairly disappears. And I'm just going to put my needle through that second hole of the gem duo. And that gets me in position to add my 4mm beads all the way around. So I'm going to pick up a 4mm on my needle and go through the bottom hole of the next gem duo. And I'm going to do that all the way around, so it looks like that. Pick up a 4mm round and go through the next bottom hole. Each time you can give it a little tug, but it will feel a little bit loose at this point. But we're going to add more 15-0s for embellishment, and at the same time that reinforces and makes this really strong. So now on this is the last one. I am going to let my needle go not only through the gem duo but through the next 4mm bead. For the next step, you always have to be coming out of your 4mm bead. And you can already see like the top of the bead cap. So I'm coming out this 4mm bead, and now's where I said this pattern here really, this is where you decide your pattern. So we already put this one on. Now that it's finished, we can look at it again. But you can see where this is going to reach on your core bead when you do it this way. You can see where it's going to land. So I'm going to do this one exactly the same way, and then when I connect the two, I can design whatever I want for this space. If you make these quite a bit longer, then the bead will not the bead caps, the beaded part will not hug your bead, and you get this effect where it looks like the bead inside is kind of floating in the cage. And it's really pretty. It's a really pretty effect. So let me do the same thing that I did. I've decided that I'm going to do the same thing that I did to make it fit, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get rid of this tail as well. I know some people that do bead weaving, they don't like to glue, they like to just weave their tails back through, but I'm going to be so careful with my glue. Obviously I don't want to get glue on anything else because I'm still running my needle through it, but this just makes me feel good. I'm just going to put a little teeny dot of glue, just barely touching that knot. Not getting it on any of my beads even. Okay. So back to the regularly scheduled program. So I'm coming out my 4mm bead, and my pattern was 4 11-0 seed beads, and I chose gold because my core bead is white, and I thought the gold would be really elegant against the white. So 4 of my 11-0 gold, 1 of my 4mm bicones, and then 4 more 11-0 gold. So that's my pattern. Yours could be different depending on your core bead. Like you could do 2 or 3, you could do more, you could do 2 crystals if you want, but I'm going to do that. And then I'm coming out the top of this 4mm bead. I'm going to go back through the bottom, and if you can at the same time go through your next gem duo, and when I pull, it's going to make that little lace effect around the 4mm bead, just like that. And now I'm coming out the gem duo, but you always have to be coming out the 4mm bead to make this pattern work. So I'm just going to run my empty needle and thread through and do the same thing again all the way around. 4 11-0 seed beads, a 4mm crystal, and then 4 more 11-0 seed beads. I'm coming out the top of my 4mm. I'm going to come back around and go up through the bottom, and if you can put your needle through the next gem duo at the same time, and just repeat that on every petal until we get back around. I'm coming out the gem duo. I have to go up through the 4mm bead to be in position for my next lacy scallop. And just give it a little pull. And again, don't worry at this point if it feels a little wobbly. We still have reinforcing to do. This is my last one. I'm going to loop back through, and I'm going to put my needle back through that gem duo if you can. If you can't do it all in one pass, it's totally fine to pull through the 4mm bead and then go through the gem duo. But that's where our next where we need to land is coming out of that next gem duo. So it looks like that, and I'm coming out right here, and now I am going to pick up a 15-0 seed bead on my needle. I'm coming out the gem duo. I'm going to go through the 4mm bead and come out the other side of the 4mm bead. And I absolutely love what happens with just a little 15-0 seed bead. Just that one pull, I can already feel my bead cap tightening, and you don't see any thread and you don't see any space where your beads are going together. So I'm going to do that all the way around. Pick up a 15-0 seed bead. I'm coming out the 4mm, go through the gem duo and come out the other side of the gem duo. So I'm going to be placing a 15-0 seed bead in between every single one of these beads all the way around. And with every pass of the needle, I can feel the reinforcement. I feel everything tightening nicely, and I just love the way it looks. I mean, what a difference from, I can see my thread in here, and then when you do those 15-0s, it just gives you this polished, perfect, finished look. So it's definitely worth the time for me to go around again. I mean, really on this, you could be done at almost any section of the pattern, but I just love this last step. I just love the way it makes the bead cap look. Okay, I'm on my last one. I'm going on one side of the gem duo and out the other, and I can see that I am up against my first 15-0, and so this already just feels so great at this point. And so now what I want to do is go skip that 15-0, and I want to get my needle through the 11-0 seed beads and come down through those seed beads and then into the bicone crystal or whatever crystal you've chosen, and out the other side of my crystal. And at this point, I'm going to set this aside, and I am going to make sure that I have my head pin the way that I want it. So I wanted to show you, in case you like this little heart. I just thought it was really a sweet head pin. And then if you're doing something with a giant bead and you need more length on your wire, it's really nice to make your own head pin. So I have an exceptionally long length, more than I will need, of 20 gauge wire, and I've straightened it and smoothed it. And I'm just giving myself plenty here. I mean, it's definitely, I mean, you can see how big my bead is. So it's definitely more than I will need. But I'm going to come to, move my scissors out of the way. I'm going to come to a little space here on the bottom. And usually when I'm doing head pins, I will sit and make several at once. And then just the ones I don't use, for me it's a very artisan thing, and they always turn out differently. I guess I could measure and get them always to turn out the same, but I don't do that. I like the freeform artisan, and I do the same steps, but it also depends on, you know, the piece. So like on this one, my heart is a lot smaller, and for the elongated bead, I did this one quite a bit bigger. So I just put a bend in my wire, and I'm going to really tighten that up. Just really, it's the point of the heart. So I just really want to, you know, I want it to be exaggerated because it makes the heart look better. And then I'm going to pull this out and pull this side out as well. And so you can kind of see the bottom of the heart. I don't have a nice fresh cut here, so I'm going to give myself a fresh blunt cut. And I like to use my 6-step bail making plier, and for a little bit larger heart, and the ones I've done here, I've used the second to the smallest step on there. And I'm just going to come right to the end, so this is, you know, not sticking out, and I'm just going to roll this in. You can always adjust it, like that's not deep enough for me. So you can always pull that back out, or you know, make it more exaggerated. I've even done them where I have this touching here, but I always end up having to pull it back out. And let me just say, this is the way that I do my heart head pins. There are a lot of ways to do this, but I will just get that first little bow of the heart just the way I like it. And then I'm going to come to this side, and I'm going to put my bail making plier in there so that it's a little hard to see, and you can definitely make adjustments. But I start out with the top of my first bow at the how can I say, I start out with this kind of level with my the top of what I've done level with my bail making plier, and I'm holding it really tight here, and I'm just going to bring this wire around. And now you can look and see if you like them offset hearts are a thing. For a head pin, I prefer them to be more the same, so I'm just going to roll this into place. Just kind of roll it down so that it's in place a little bit more, and you can put your, you know, you can put your bail plier in and like make those adjustments. So now my heart is basically formed, but now I need to make it into a head pin. So I'm going to come back with my pliers, and I'm going to get a hold of this right where my cut piece is. Let me turn it this way, it's a little bit easier. Right like that. And I am going to grab the point of my heart and push this against my finger and just bend this straight up. That's my head pin. And from here, you know, you can straighten it, flatten it a little bit, and reach inside like that so that you can really make it, you really want to get where you folded, you really want to flatten that as flat as you can because it's a head pin. And I'll go in the middle of my two bows like that with my pliers, work harden a little bit, and so that is a really pretty, it's a really pretty heart. It looks great. So I can use either one. I like this one too. And this is, you know, it's like a really fancy eye pin at this point. And I just have to remember that the pendant that I'm designing, I do plan to hang my butterfly from it. So I think that's gorgeous. I have some gold filled fancy jump rings, and that's what I'm going to attach it with. So I think that's great. And I have one for my stash. I love to make extras. See, I will sit and do them. This is just one that I already had made in my stash. And I'll sit and do a few, and then I have them ready for a project. Okay, so let's get the first bead cap on. Oh, I want to, if you could see, I put a little crystal at the top and bottom before I strung this one on. And I'm going to try that same crystal again. These are also from Potomac Beads. These are metallic bronze crystals. I think these were in one of our treasure boxes. If you want to try bead weaving projects, if you want to get some crystals, some bicones, some gem duos, some super duos, any of that, Potomac Beads website is such a great website for jewelry makers. I love getting the treasure box every month, but if you're not interested in getting, you know, a monthly box, just don't overlook the website. It's just so great. You can find things that you need for your projects. So I'm going to just feed on one of these little bronzy crystals, and then this bead cap facing down, and then my bead, and then my top bead cap with my thread and needle still attached, and then my other little crystal. That is absolutely already gorgeous, and I'm not even finished with it. So from here, I am going to, since I have so much wire, I'm going to make a really large bail on this. So this is going to be the front of my pendant. My heart is facing forward, and the heart is parallel to my mat. So I'm going to do a bend going perpendicular to my mat because my chain will have to go through this way. So I mean, sometimes it's easier to just show you. So I'm going to get a hold of my pendant right at the top of that crystal and put a 90-degree bend in there. And then I'm going to come back with my bail making pliers, and I'm going to use this largest step on my bail making plier. So I'm going to put my wire in so that I will be wrapping around this largest bail. So I'm going to just bring that around and rotate my plier, and I'm going to come around this way and just get everything lined up. You can just roll it in, roll your wrist. So I have this really nice large bail, and I'm going to go ahead and get a hold of this with my bent chain nose pliers and wrap right down to my crystal pretty tight. Just gonna, I like to do really neat wraps where one wrap is laying beneath the previous one, and it just makes this really pretty coil. Grab my thread. I think I can fit another one in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and trim that wire and gently tuck that wire in line with my wraps without putting any stress on that top crystal. Okay, that is so pretty already. It's so beautiful. Okay, and now I get to start designing my little cage. So I am coming out of this crystal here. Let me bring my seed beads back in. And I'm going to line up my bead caps because I want to attach the top and the bottom at every one of these intervals. So I'm just gonna, I have these spun so that my crystals are facing each other. And now it's just a matter of designing what I want to do. And I think I'm going to do, I'm gonna do 3 seed beads. I was thinking of putting another crystal in the middle here, but I think I'm just going to do seed beads connecting. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me see where 6 brings me. And like I said, yours could be different. Okay, I think I need 7 in order to reach. So 7 seed beads brings me right to where I need to go inside this cone. So I'm going to go in my bicone and just pull that tight, and now I'm going to do another 7 seed beads on my needle and go back up. 5, 6, 7. And now I'm going to go back through this way. So I've just made a circle with my needle and thread. It's still a little wobbly, but I'm going to do more. What I did on this one is I did this, how can I say? I did this longer than my bead space so that there would be space between my beading and my core bead. I love the look of that bead just floating inside. But on this one I was thinking, because it's such a big bead, that I would let my caged part lay on the bead. So I'm pretty happy with that. And now in order to get over to the next one, I'm coming out my bicone crystal. I have to go up through all of my seed beads and work my way over, weave my way over to do the next one. So I'm going to go back through that 15-0. And this is why I didn't want to weave my thread in or do too many knots, because I didn't want this to get too hard when I go up and down the rows. So I'm just going to weave my way back. I'm going to go back down through the next little 4 seed beads. Just make sure you don't miss a bead. And if I can, go through my crystal at the same time. And I'm going to repeat that same thing. I'm coming out this side of my crystal and I'm going to pick up 7 seed beads. Do you guys hear my dog snoring? I don't know if my microphone is picking her up, but she is so loud. Okay, so same thing. I'm coming out this side of my crystal and I'm going to come down to the opposite one and pull that through. Pick up 7 more 11-0 seed beads and go back up to the top. Okay, and I'm going to go in this side of my crystal. And I'm going to go back up and weave my way over to the next little section. Look how gorgeous that is. Ah, I love it. This is so gratifying. Through my 15-0, through my gem duo. Okay, I'm on my last little section here. Come back up making that last circle. And then from here, I can decide if I want to embellish further, which I did on my first one. And I'm just going to pull this tight and get back up here to the top and see what I think of it. We'll look at it together. Oh, it's so gorgeous. I love it so much. It's so pretty. Now I'll show you what you could do, and I may do that. So on this one, after I connected my crystals, I went back through every one and added an 11-0 seed bead on each side where my crystals meet. And the way this one has worked out, I would be doing it here and here and here and here on every single one. And do I want to do that? I could use a different crystal, or I could just leave it plain. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave this one alone. I'm going to weave my needle back through. You can reinforce if yours is not as tight as you would like it to be. I'm just going to weave my thread a little bit, kind of check if anything does need to be reinforced. It actually looks really good. I'm a tight beater, so for me I don't always have to reinforce a lot because I'm such a tight beater. Okay, we are ready to attach the butterfly to this pendant. And I have a dog and a cat. As you know, you've heard Oprah snoring through my whole video. So I am really cautious with my needles. I have a magnetic needle case. I have a couple of really cute needle cases, and I make sure that I put my needles away right away because I've heard really terrible things about dogs and cats getting badly hurt on needles. So I have my gold filled diamond cut jump rings here, and I'm going to take just one of those and attach my butterfly to the bottom of my beaded pendant. It looks like a lantern. It's so pretty. I love it. These are very heavy gauge, and they are gold filled, and the diamond cutting just makes them sparkle. And so this is like the perfect complement to a white and gold and neutral palette. And when you close those jump rings, you cannot see where they start and stop. It looks like a solid jump ring. And I know this isn't a great camera angle for you, but my butterfly, like literally, he's bobbling and making the same motion that butterflies do when they're flying and fluttering. It's just so, I mean, this pendant is magical. It's absolutely magical. I love, love, love the way that it turned out. And I did essentially the same thing, but with a totally different core bead and a different color story and a different little charm. So I'll put some much better pictures up at the end of the video, but I really, really hope you'll give this a try, and please send me messages if you do, because to me, this finished product looks like it's so involved and so difficult and so out of reach, and it is totally easy. I do consider this a beginner project, as I said earlier, and it's such a great opportunity to get one of the big beads from your stash and a pendant or some special thing that you've been saving for just the right thing, and like put those to use, and you know, get out your seed beads. And so, as I said, if you check my description box, there will be links for all my tools there. I'll link beading needles, I'll link my wildfire that I was using, that I've been using a lot for my bead weaving projects. I'll put a link to Jesse James Beads so you can check out their fab finds, and also my link for Potomac Beads. Those are two of my very favorite websites, and especially when I'm going to be doing a bead weaving project. So I thank you so much for watching. I hope everybody's doing great as we come to the end of summer, and hopefully it's starting to cool down for those of us that have been suffering with the heat. I know I have. I'm so over it. And I am coming back. In fact, I'm going to film it next with my first autumn project, and it is a good one and unexpected, and I'm so excited for it. So I will see you all in the next video. Ciao, friends.